problem with questions. Most people find it hard to ask because you've been inhibited throughout your life by your parents saying, stop asking so many questions, I'm trying to watch EastEnders. Your teachers saying, don't ask silly or don't ask stupid questions. By your school friends, because when you ask a question that they think they know the answer to, now don't you know that? Laughing at you. Remember, when they laugh at you, how do you feel? Humiliated, embarrassed. Does that make you want to keep asking questions if that's the reaction? No. Interesting. Teachers again, they use questions to humiliate you. Now, anyone seen Harry Potter? Yeah? Okay. In the first Harry Potter film, in his first lesson, bearing in mind that he's been a wizard, and as far as he's aware, for 5 days. This is the boy whose parents were killed before he knew them. This is the boy who lived under the stairs with relatives who hated him. And then next minute, everyone's saying you're the saviour. You'd be a little bit emotionally challenged or emotionally compromised, wouldn't you? You're 11, for goodness sake. No longer living in the stairs, witch and wizards, which were fiction, are fact. You are a wizard. Great big half giant is walking around with you, and now you're at a school for wizards, where all of a sudden the teacher, who's a little bit scary because he's dressed like a big black bat, hates you. I don't know, that's a bit of a challenging situation. So in his very first lesson, Potions, the teacher, played so brilliantly by Alan Rickman, says, we've got a celebrity, and it starts on you straight away. I've got to tell you, at this point we're going, do you know what, I think I prefer to be under the stairs. But he humiliates him. He's got no chance of knowing the answers to these questions because he's asking him, what's a bezoar, what's this, what's that, oh, you couldn't be bothered to read your books. To which Harry Potter should have said, no, of course not, because as you very well know, I've been living under the stairs for 11 years. I found out I was a wizard 5 days ago, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed by everything that's going on, so why don't you leave me alone and get off my case? But 11-year-olds don't do that. He sinks further and further into his chair because he's embarrassed, humiliated, because he's a failure. Snape is using questions to absolutely humiliate him. Questions are so powerful. Next to him, of course, is Hermione Granger, desperate to answer questions. And the reasons she wants to have the answers and the reasons that she studies so hard is the fundamental reason why people find questions so difficult, because you want to answer them, because if you know the answers you seem to be a good person and a clever person and you get an improvement. You're not embarrassed, you're not a failure, you're not all the other things. And why would she be so keen to have the answers? What is it in Hermione's makeup that makes her so much of a swot? Exactly, because she's a muggle. She's a filthy mudblood, and the only way that she can get equality in that society is by being cleverer than everyone else. This is a nice place to be, this witches and this Harry Potter world everyone wants to be part of. You've got people who are there from talent, made to feel that they're secondary, and people who are there because their parents got murdered are made to feel secondary. I've got to tell you, I'm not sure if I want my children going there. Not that my daughter would say that she'd want to go there. So, questions are fundamental. Parents, teachers, school friends, teachers again, and teachers and parents will look to get you to be compliant because all they want you to do is answer questions only and not ask. When you're a child, you start off 5, 6, 7 years old, can I have, having all this stuff while the parents are trying to teach you. And eventually they say, you know this, stop asking. And then miracle of miracle, from the age of about 6 or 7, the child becomes perfect. A little good do-gooder. Does what they're told. Can you do this? Yes, mummy. Can you do that? Yes, daddy. Could you do this? Yes, of course. Where have you been? I've been playing. What are you doing now? And they just answer all your questions and do as they're told. Brilliant. Doesn't last forever, does it? Because what happens normally 12 years, 11 months and 30 days into their life. Oh, bloody hell! They turn into the great teenagers. And you've seen Kevin and Perry, when you've got the terrible teenager. Can you do this for me? Oh, why'd you make me do that the whole time? And the point is, teenagers start asking questions again. Why do I have to do this? Why me? Why can't you do it? Why do you want to know? No difference really to when they were 3 or 4, except instead of being this big and easy to intimidate, they're this big, or maybe this big, and not so easy to intimidate. But the parents generally use the same techniques. Do as I say. Why should I? Now, when you're 3 or 4, do as I say, pick you up, put you in their bedroom, you have that power. All of a sudden, oh, what are you going to do? And that's why teenagers become so difficult, because they start asking questions again. Coincidentally, it's at this point that exams start to increase. The bigger pressure from schools to get the answers, to have the answers. Because let's be honest, what's the objective of coming out of school? That's right, education, but what do you want with your education? You want to get certificates, you want to get qualifications, brilliant. So how are you going to get the qualifications? What have you got to do? Exams. And what are exams? Lists of questions. So success at school and university is through having the answers to questions. So society so far, by the time you get to 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, has said, if you're going to be successful, you've got to have the answers. How do you control conversations? Oh, by asking questions, not by having the answers. That's interesting. Okay. That's all well and good. You've been the teenager gets so much pressure to answer the questions and not ask, that they then give up and become an adult who doesn't ask questions, who tries to get all the answers. Because when you leave school, what do you have to do? Get a job. Okay, so let's do with getting a job. In order to get a job, what do you have to go through? Job interview. Brilliant. So in a job interview, how do you get a job? You answer the questions the interviewer gives you. Good. So it's still having to answer the questions. Good. About the army. What do they teach you in the army? Anyone done basic training in here? No? Okay. Clearly I'm a military man. How do you get... What happens in the army? What happens in that first basic training? They make you fit. They break you down, yeah. They teach you to obey orders without what? Without question. So we're so designed to ask questions that they break us down in the army to do as we're told without question. It's not when I jump, you say how high. It's when I jump, you jump. When I say jump, you jump. Not how high do you want me to jump? Because let's be honest, if you were a corporal in a unit and your sergeant says, right, we're going to take that hill, and you go, well, why do we have to take that hill? Well, because that's what we've been told to do. But why do we have to do it? Why don't we not take the hill? Can you imagine how the armies would work? And to think about how far back this goes, you know, when were we first told to do as we're told? Who did it? Who said? Our parents? How and where did they learn this technique? From their parents? And when did they learn? How far back does it go? All the way back, before family. Because before we were in families, we lived in tribes. When we live in a tribe, we have a tribal leader. And he says, we're going into the next valley. If you then go, excuse me, why don't we go into the other valley? What's he going to do? He's going to bash you on the head. And in fact, when he moves into that with your tribe into the other valley and sees a smaller tribe there, he says to all the hunters, right, we're going to attack them. You do as I say. The beginning of the army, where you do as the leader says, without question. And the army, armed forces, is the oldest civilizational structure that there is. Once we started to organize ourselves into groups, into tribes, the very first bottom-down organization was leader, Lieutenant's Army, because that's how societies survived in those days. Do as you're told, and yet asking questions is how you have control and real power as a human being. But from the day you're born, where you're naturally asking questions, nobody says, you didn't tell your children, if you want to know anything, ask me why. If I say no when you're asking me something, keep asking until I lose my temper or give in. Did you teach them that? But you taught them how to say please and thank you. We're born to ask. And society, the control of what I call the matrix, suppresses you so that you behave in a controlled, sheep-like manner. But true power and control of anything you want in life is through asking questions. TV, film, game shows, all increase the desire to be a good boy and answer questions. Who wants to be a millionaire in here? Who's seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? How do you win it? You answer 15 questions. That's how you be a millionaire. Or do you ask questions to please sir, more? Oliver, was he within his rights to ask for more? Of course, he had no food. He was gruelly with him. He was terrible. Getting and asking for more. What happened? Harry Seacombe starts singing. Everyone starts laughing. Terrible. No wonder. If you were a 7-year-old watching that, you would be scared witless of asking too many questions. Society says, have the answers, don't ask. And lastly, the fear of rejection, the fear of someone saying no to you is the overriding fear. The fear of asking a girl out for a dance and her going, and telling all her friends, humiliation, embarrassment, rejection. All these fears keep us from asking questions and being free as human beings.